Hey friends, welcome back to Guess What? Compliance can be simple. I'm your host, Dr. Natasha Guess, founder of Guess Compliance LLC, where I work specifically with small and mid-sized healthcare teams to build compliance systems that actually function in real operational environments. Now, we are 4 episodes into this series, and today I want to reframe something completely. Most practice managers or practice owners or COOs understand that HIPAA exists. They know it governs how patient information is handled, and they know violations can result in significant penalties. They know it is something their organization is required to comply with. But what is far less understood is that HIPAA is not just a legal requirement. It is an operational blueprint. Let me explain what I mean by that. The HIPAA security rule organizes its requirements into 3 categories of safeguards: administrative safeguards, physical safeguards, and technical safeguards. Most people hear those words and think legal framework. I want you to hear them differently. I want you to hear them as a description of operational functions that already exist in your practice or organization. Administrative safeguards are your workforce systems. They govern how staff are trained, how risk assessments are conducted, how your policies are developed and maintained, how your access is managed, and how incidents are documented and responded to. The person who manages onboarding owns training. The person who manages contracts owns your vendor agreements. And the person who manages daily operations owns incident escalation pathways. Now, your physical safeguards are your facilities and your device management practices. They govern workstation security, device controls, physical access to areas where patient information is stored or processed, and media controls for devices that hold protected data. These are physical and operational decisions that happen every day in your practice. Now let's talk about your technical safeguards. Those are your access controls, your authentication systems, and encryption standards. They govern who can log into which systems, how those systems verify identity, how data is protected in transit, and how access events are logged and reviewed. In most organizations or practices, these functions sit with whoever manages the technology infrastructure. Now, here's a point I want you to hold on to. HIPAA is not asking healthcare organizations or practices to do things they do not already do. It is asking them to do those things with documented structure, consistent execution, and evidence of ongoing oversight. The gap between most organizations and HIPAA compliance is not a gap in activity. It is a gap in documentation and intentionality. The administrative functions, the physical practices, and technical controls that HIPAA requires are largely already happening. They are just not being documented, monitored, and maintained in a way that demonstrates compliance. That is a solvable problem. And it starts with understanding that your practice manager, the practice owner, the COO, the supervisor already owns most of the compliance function, whether it's recognized that way or not. Now, let me talk about the area where I see the most confusion in healthcare operations. your business associate agreements. Most practices or organizations know they need those business associate agreements with vendors who handle their PHI information. And most organizations or practices do have them. And like I said in the previous episode, the challenge is always what happens after the agreement is signed. A BAA formalizes the relationship. It identifies the parties. It specifies the permitted uses and disclosures of PHI. And it establishes the vendor's obligations under HIPAA. Signing it is the beginning of a compliance relationship. It is not the end of one. The compliance obligation does not stop at the signature. It continues with verifying that your vendor actually understands and is executing their responsibilities. It also continues with monitoring the relationship on an ongoing basis so that when the vendor's services change or their data handling practices evolve, your organization is aware of those changes and can assess the compliance implications. It also continues with updating the agreement when the scope of the relationship changes in a material way. A vendor relationship that has evolved significantly since the BAA was signed and in which the BAA has not been reviewed or updated is a compliance risk. Not because the original agreement was wrong, but because the agreement no longer describes the actual relationship. And here's what I want you to take away from this episode. HIPAA is a blueprint. It is telling you what functions to build, what to document, what to monitor, and what to maintain. And the operational leader who translates that blueprint into the systems their organization actually uses is the most valuable compliance assessment their practice has. In the next episode, we're going to talk about two of the most undervalued compliance functions in healthcare operations: documentation and training. Not as administrative tasks, but as evidence that demonstrates your compliance program is real and functioning. I can't wait to talk about those things. Now, if you want to know where your gaps are and you want to start closing those gaps, I have two resources in the show notes. My book, The Compliance Trap: How Not to Get Fined, Sued, or Shut Down. It's available now on Kindle and was written specifically for practice owners navigating exactly what we discussed today. And I also have the Guesswork HIPAA Compliance Template Kit. This gives you the templates and the 30-day roadmap to start building a defensible compliance foundation now. Both links are in the show notes. I'm Dr. Natasha Guess. Thank you for listening to Guess What? Compliance can be simple. You can schedule a free compliance strategy call, and I have that link in the show notes as well. I will see you in the next episode. Until next time, keep it simple, stay compliant, and protect your patients.